but at the end of the day, maybe don't necessarily drive home what the main takeaways and what you're actually trying to extract from this report actually is. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of That Amazon Ads Podcast. Today, got another special topic, as they all are. We're going to be talking about the Amazon Search Query Performance Report, giving you a deep dive, what it is, how you can access it, how to use it, and how to get the most use out of it in general to help determine your effectiveness of your PPC, your overall listings, and so on and so forth. Stephen, we've been talking about doing this episode for a year, so glad we're finally getting around to it.
Yeah, it's about time, and let's just dive right into it. So first things first, in case if you didn't know how to access the Search Query Performance Report, we'll show you. It's pretty easy, but when you're in Seller Central, you'll hit this side menu. You will go down to where you see brands and then brand analytics. Fun fact, you can bookmark things, which will pin them to that top bar there so you can access it more easily later. And you switch over to brand analytics. You'll see search analytics, search query performance. You'll click into this, and then you have your SQP, as we call it. And Andrew, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so pretty much the Search Query Performance Report is Amazon's way of giving you organic level keyword or search term level data about your brand or the broader market as a whole. It's pretty much just another measurement tool for you that's going to give you some additional insight, additional ways of looking at things. Most places on Amazon and a lot of the stuff we're talking about is very much driven towards ads. So it's all kind of within the ad ecosystem. The Search Query Performance Report kind of steps out even broader, allows you to look from an organic level how you're stacking up against competitors and how your performance is trending overall. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Now, how to use it is a whole other conversation because there are a ton of different ways you could use it. It's going to give you access to a ton of different things. I've seen a lot of influencers on LinkedIn create templates for the Search Query Performance Report in Looker Studio where you can just kind of copy paste in there. And they're very complicated. A lot of them I've seen are just like over the top, very in depth and like very well done. But at the end of the day, maybe don't necessarily drive home what the main takeaways and what you're actually trying to extract from this report actually is. And so going to kind of be walking through how to set it up in order to make it usable. And you can use it whether you have a Looker report or you just have Excel and Google Sheets. So we'll walk through about how to do all of that. But real quick, just as we go through, you want to talk through what we're looking at here, Stephen, on the screen?
Yeah, so I think that the big value that blew people's minds when Amazon released SQP was that Amazon is actually giving you the search query volume. So before the SQP, we had no idea how much volume there was for any given keyword. Now, we've definitely talked about this in some of our insulted case studies. So you've probably seen this if you've been following our podcast. This isn't new to you. And so I'm going to try not to repeat what we've said before. But we are just going to be doing a deeper dive into this. But Amazon will assign a search query score and rank for any given month or week what they think are the top queries for you, which is a combination of essentially the relevance of that query to your brand and how much volume that it gets. Now, you could sort by volume just to see, okay, what's the thing with the highest volume, but some of those things might not be the most relevant to you, like this one, like keto, is not very relevant to this brand, so it doesn't have a great score. It's a pretty low score, even though the volume is high. But the items with the highest, that's the inverse. The ones with the highest score are going to be very relevant to your brand and having pretty decent volume. So you can see actually on this one, your brand is usually going to have an extremely high score because it's obviously your brand. Even if the volume's not that high, it's just very relevant. So this is basically like the highest, most searched term that is our brand only gets 89 searches in a month. So not very much, but just because it's so relevant, it gets a really high score, even though the volume's really low. This one is a competitor brand that's very, very relevant, but because the volume's so high, it's getting a very high score. Typically, I'm looking for, okay, what's like the highest score term that is not any of these ones. These are all brand, either competitors or our own brand. It's like high sodium electrolytes. That's the first one there. That's pretty high score, not the most volume, but it's pretty relevant for us. So you can do that. And then there's also, you can play with different date ranges. And then there's also the ASIN view, which, how does this one work, Andrew?
Yeah, good call out. So there's two different tabs there. There's the toggle. You got the brand view and the ASIN view. So the brand view is going to take a snapshot of your entire brand on those specific keywords, versus the ASIN level view is going to give you a snapshot of just that ASIN that you've selected and its performance on the selected keywords that are most relevant to it. So one gives you kind of a rolled up whole performance of your entire brand. Maybe you have 10 different products that you sell in one category. You're going to get the rolled up performance of how all 10 of those products performed across all those terms for you as a whole. Whereas
Yep.
this ASIN one gets a little more specific.
The other thing too is we have what Stephen Pope likes to call it the ICAP funnel. I guess that's kind of fun, but impressions, clicks, add to carts, and purchases is the stage of the customer journey. So Amazon provides that ICAP level information, which can be pretty interesting. So if you're looking at impressions, it's always kind of interesting to see. You can get a lot more impressions than there are actual search queries. That makes sense, right? Because when someone types one search, there's not just one impression that appears. It's everything. Like there's tons of impressions across the board, and then you can see how many of those impressions did your own ASIN get, and then what is that as a percentage of the total possible. So you can track your impression share, your click share, as well as your add to cart share and purchase share. So these are all really good metrics to track in terms of just seeing the overall performance of if you're trying to see if your sales have been down year over year, it could be, in terms of troubleshooting, it could be just that the search volume is down on certain keywords, but like the impressions are down, the search volume's down, the total purchases are down, but your actual brand's impression share, click share, and purchase share are up. So that could be a really good story for, telling whoever you're reporting to that, even though like our sales are down, we're actually capturing more of the market. It's just like the search volume is down.
Yep, absolutely. The other thing too is, as you're going through and analyzing this thing, you're like trying to see, okay, is search volume down over time? Like you're going to have to pretty much go through and click through month by month or week by week, and then find that keyword and then see how that volume has changed over and over and over again. So Amazon doesn't make it super easy for you to come in quickly and just check the volume and see a nice trend chart and show you how, the volume on keto is trending over the last 2 months or so. Like that's going to be a lot harder to get. So you got to use some external tools and be a little savvy with it in order to make the best use out of this report in a timely fashion. What you could do if you had no tools whatsoever is you could go through and, let's just say you wanted to segment all this data on a monthly level, which is something we didn't mention. There's some of those date segmentations there. You can do week, month, quarter, year, however you want to group up the data. I typically will do month. I think anything more frequent than that is a little excessive, and you're probably not going to get as much value out of it. If you're coming in here updating the data every single week, like it's just going to be convoluted. You're not going to know what changed what and all that. So
yeah, going from 52 weeks divided by 12 months. So it's at least 4.3x more work to download all of the weekly information. And are you getting 4.3x more value out of that added hour lift? I don't know. But yeah, monthly is kind of what we opt for. You could go quarterly, but you're just monthly seems to be the good sweet spot between that granularity and also time savings and everything like that. Like Andrew was mentioning, there is this generate download. They used to not even have this generate download option. And so people had to do the craziest workarounds because this table couldn't like copy paste well. So Andrew was showing me there was some what was it called? Poke catch.
Oh no, it looked like a Pokeball, but it was called like data table scraper or something.
Yeah, but it would like capture the data. It was a Pokeball theme capture. So you could use that. And also, before anyone asks me, hey, are you going to include all this data in AdLabs? No, because this is not accessible in the API. So there's nowhere in the advertising API or the selling partner API, which connects to Seller Central. This data is not available. Hopefully one day it will be, But for the time being, it's a manual process. And what you would have to do is go through 1 month at a time and download. If you wanted to get like the last, 12 months, 12 separate downloads, piece those all together. But Andrew, what do we have to help us out with that?
Yeah, we've got a little tool from our pal Yuri Rahimi, who we actually met at Accelerate not too long ago. Awesome dude. But he built this tool to help work around this whole time suck that is the Search Query Performance Report. So Steven's got it pulled up here. It's just a nice plugin in Chrome. You can install it for free, and it allows you to go and plug in whether you want to do brand or ASIN, and then pick out whether you do week, month, quarter, year, and then it goes and downloads all those reports for you all in bulk. And so
Yeah.
instead of having to go through and just individually do everyone, just get them all at once.
Yeah. So just Google Central Utilities Chrome, and you'll find that extension. And then you can actually export the weekly here, I guess, but it's still just a lot more reports to manage on Excel and stuff. So monthly's fine. And then you just checkbox however many months. Can I shift click? No. Dang it.
Feature request.
Yeah. I like being able to shift click to pick everything in between. But, you come through here, you would export, maybe you're going to go back for the past 12 months. So from September of last year through September of this year. And then, save CSV to computer. So is that it for this stage, Andrew? Are we missing anything, or do we want to switch over to your spreadsheet?
No, that's pretty much it. Once you've gone and selected all this and you hit download, it'll take a little bit. It might load for a while. You got to leave it open, but then it'll export all out in one cohesive spreadsheet, which is exactly what you need. So you don't have to go through the headache of combining everything either. It's all coming out in one spreadsheet. So yeah, after that, you're good to go, and you can start analyzing and sorting this data out, which we're going to show you.
I also just saw, Andrew, we can toggle this off, that campaign thing that we were talking about. So when you're in the ad console, Seller Central will, because there's no tacos metric in the ad console, Seller Central will place a tacos metric. But if you're an agency and you switch around between different seller accounts, it disconnects a lot. You have to go back, switch seller accounts, go back to the ad console. So it was kind of annoying to us, but I just saw there's that toggle there. So if you're just a single seller, then it's nice. You don't have to deal with that. You can have this toggled on, and then from the ad console, you'll always see your tacos data as a chart right at that chart thing. So there you go. And then we're going to switch over to Andrew's beautiful search query performance monthly time frame going back for about 18 months or so. And Andrew, I'm just gonna let you walk me through this. Tell me where you want to click, and I'll just follow your lead.
Yeah, for sure. So the main purpose of sharing this spreadsheet with you is to give you ideas for stuff that you could potentially do with the Search Query Performance Report, and views that I kind of look at every once in a while. I don't use every single one of these by any means. There's certainly some that are more important and more indicative of the performance and the objectives that we're trying to achieve than others. But a lot of it is helpful with trying to tell the story of what's happening within an account and why. A lot of times we'll have brands that'll come to us and we'll do audits. And, this is one of the things that we'll look at just to gauge are these products, is this brand in a growing market or a declining, shrinking market? And this will give us some pretty good insight into how easily or difficult it's going to be to get the sales up on this product or improve performance. If we're pushing against a declining market, sales volume coming or search volume trending down, trying to grow within that is going to be very difficult. But, if we see search volume trending up over time and just continually growing and growing and growing, that's a growing market that might be a lot easier to grow with it as a competing product or a brand. So, as I mentioned before, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to just call out a couple things, but finish your thought. I don't want to interrupt.
No, all I was going to say was that I mentioned, not being able to see that trend chart over time. Having it all kind of grouped up like this allows you to build that trend chart. And we'll get into some of the other specifics around this chart in a second. But what you got, Steven?
Yeah. So the reason why this is valuable is you can already see, and in these charts, it's nice. What Andrew's basically doing here is, in the ad console, you're familiar with having that chart where you have different metrics and all those things showing trends over time. So that's what Andrew is essentially doing here in Excel. And it's phenomenal because when you mouse over this in Excel or Google Sheets, wherever you're doing it, it'll show you the values. Now, we're using two different axes here because obviously there's going to be a lot more non-brand volume compared to competitor or brand. These are the search so what Andrew's done is he's taken all of the search terms and he's assigned them specific categories, brands, tactics, whether it's the own brand he's working with. We've kept everything anonymized, so the search query is all whited out. Andrew manually assigns different categories to these, as well as if these are non-brand or competitor terms, and then if it is a competitor term, which brand in particular that's going after. And so now that he assigned all those labels, you can see competitor, non-brand, and brand as trend lines. And as Andrew was mentioning, seeing if you're in a shrinking market or a growing market. If you just look at this non-brand trend line, which is basically all of the search terms from the SQP that do not belong to either his own brand or any of the competition's brand, that stuff's labeled as non-brand. And there's 13 million query volume units, searches, compared to if you looked at September of last year, 11 million. So decent sized growth there. Also seeing really good sized growth on the brand, if I can mouse over it. 130,000 searches for the brand last September. Oh, that was actually October. Let me go to September. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 10 million on non-brand. And then this mouse is not working that great. 116,000 on brand. Bring that over to this September. And a lot more brand volume, a lot more non-brand volume as well. So the whole category is really growing, which is testament to the fact that, Andrew, the sales that your brand has been seeing aren't due to anything that you've done for them at all. It's been purely just based off of the growth in the category.
It had absolutely nothing to do with me, and
Your
everything
strategies were useless. Yep.
Yep, precisely. No,
All right,
but they
sorry,
were amplified. No, they were amplified. Yeah. Honestly, if anything,
yes,
those growing accounts. Yeah, when you start deploying the good strategies, it just boom takes everything to the next level. So.
And how else could the branded volume have grown so much if were it not you doing such a good job in the non-brand query
Correct.
to pull back and grow this brand, which is an LTV type based company? So.
Yes, exactly. So Stephen is obviously being sarcastic. This is a growing brand. They're doing very well. But yeah, I mean, they've been around for 10 years, so I can't really take too much credit for 2 years of work. So anyway.
All right. So I just wanted to explain that visual in case people were like, what is this going on? And then with these terms, Andrew, you've labeled, well, you can even just see here, you have 52 categories, 52, 54? How many
54,
did you?
I think
54.
Total.
All right, let me pull this down just a tad bit more so 54 is not squashed. All right, so 54 categories. How did you assign those categories, by the way?
So they aren't just category 1 through 54 in reality. They actually have names, and so they're assigned by what the product is. So for this brand, they have a collection of products. A lot of them are different types of things. And
how many SKUs in the total catalog?
286, I believe.
And then that's spread across like 50-ish categories that people would be searching for different things to discover one of those 200, 300 products.
Okay. Right. So let's say I sell tennis rackets and tennis equipment. One of those categories might be tennis balls. One might be tennis rackets. One might be tennis shoes. Yeah, exactly.
One might be tennis courts for people trying to buy tennis courts.
She's trying to buy a tennis court. That's pretty cool. You're definitely an Amazon seller, a successful one.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so what I've added here is just a little slicer that allows you to look at specific categories. So it's like, okay, well, I sell tennis balls, tennis rackets, whatever. I just want to see how my tennis rackets are performing. And so I can click that one, and it's going to group all my data up, aggregate it all under that one category. So you can click any of these, Stephen. It doesn't matter too much. But
before you said category 54, you wanted to look at, right?
Yeah, but that was specifically on the click share or purchase share tab because we're doing some stuff with category 54. But anyway.
Notice this, guys. Notice this. If I click on one of these, it only goes to one. But what if I want to click a whole bunch of them? I hold shift and I click, and it selects everything in between where I started my click journey and ended my click journey. That's such a useful feature for being able to bulk select a ton of stuff, and more tools need to have that.
Yeah, and you can also do the command click too on all that to just select only certain ones or deselect only certain ones.
If you hold command or control, you can deselect certain stuff.
Yep.
Or hold command shift click to only deselect Oh, that one didn't work. Anyways. All right, where are we going next in our journey?
Yeah, let's just go through some of these tabs real quick and we can give some examples of some of the stuff you can look at. Just click on impressions really quick. We're going to go through this quick. Um, so, impressions, here's what you're looking at. This just gives an overall roll up of the total brand impressions by tactic. You've got your total market impressions. So, essentially, what I'd be looking at is like, are there any big discrepancies between like, the overall market growing and my brand impressions declining, or any sort of like inverse relationships between what's happening as a whole versus what's happening to my brand. And then below that, just have
Yeah.
the impression share. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we start with, if you recall over here on something like, let's pick a non-brand, high sodium electrolytes. We have this got in the last month 967 searches, which presented an opportunity for almost 25,000 possible impressions. Question people probably are asking is, are these ad impressions? Are these organic impressions? And Andrew, the answer is obviously,
Yeah, I believe it's organic impressions, but I think there's some nuance to like how Amazon is counting these things. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know they're not counting every single impression. I think it's just like that first impression, maybe, or something.
yeah,
But maybe you
I
know.
was kidding with the obviously, because it's not obvious at all, and we don't know. Like, if we look at this definition here, oops. Okay, well, I guess that question mark took me to a new page where we'll say, impressions, total count, the total number of impressions for all ASINs that originate from the search result. Okay, that did not answer it. My suspicion is that is both organic and ads. It's definitely not just ads. That's for sure, because you can have all your ad campaigns turned off and still be getting impressions and stuff. So I believe it's ads plus organic, so just like total possible impressions. And I believe it's limited to just page 1 of the search engine. I don't think they are counting like product page placements in page 2 and all that stuff.
I wonder if there's any difference in the way that you download it, because there's those different settings as well. Like you have the simple view download versus like the more in-depth view download. Have you seen that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've tried them both. I don't think it makes a difference.
No difference? Okay.
Yeah, but the reason why I am saying this is because when people look at so what Andrew's doing here is, first he totaled up all of the impressions your brand got for, you can drill this down to a specific group of search terms, or just right now we're looking at all the search terms combined, your brand's total impressions. And then next is the total possible impressions, or the total market impressions. And then you just take this first metric and divide that by the second metric. So basically this chart divided by this chart gets you to the percentage chart, which is your brand's impression share, which is how many impressions did your brand get out of the total possible impressions. The reason why I'm sort of belaboring this point is because in the advertising console, we have the search term impression share report. We did a whole other episode about a year ago dedicated to that report if you want to dive into that one. But that report only focuses on the advertising impressions, and it doesn't tell you what the total possible impressions are. It'll just show you what your brand's impression share is for that metric, but you can kind of reverse engineer it. So if you got, let's just say 100 impressions, and it says you had 10% of the impression share, well, you could do the math to realize, okay, that means there were 1,000 total possible impressions for this search term, and we got 10% of that, which is 100 impressions for our brand on that search term impression share report. If you try to then map your estimated kind of total possible impressions from that report in advertising, and if you try to line that up with this report, they will not even be close. Sometimes what you calculate on the ads report will be more than these impressions. Sometimes it will be less. Why would it be more or less? Well, there's a number of reasons, but you might be getting more impressions because people could be searching a lot more on those product detail pages, I think. And so that's where there's a lot more impressions being counted on those detail pages. And I don't think the SQP is including that. So that's why you can get more impressions, total possible impressions on the advertising report. You could also sometimes get less total advertising possible impressions on that advertising report compared to the SQP, because the SQP is including also the organic stuff. So if people are kind of more just focusing on that first page and they don't click through to a ton of detail pages, then, naturally there would be a lot more total possible impressions if you're including the organic. I'm sure I lost like half of our audience on that explanation, but hopefully it makes sense if you just rewind it and listen to what I said a second time.
Okay, let's go to clicks.
I'm just trying to hopefully make it make sense, because I'm sure people are asking what's the difference between impressions here and there.
I'm totally just giving you a hard time. It was much needed information for sure. Okay, so
It's
the
probably
clicks one
no,
is
because I probably lost you in that, and you didn't want to look dumb, so you're trying to make me look dumb.
well, it's possible that could be true, but the real answer is that I was just
Leave
trying
a
to
comment.
and
Drop a
see.
comment for who looks more dumb right now.
Yeah, who looks dumb? Me or Steven or Remy?
I hope I win
right
that
back
one.
there.
Winning meaning I look dumb. All right. Clicks.
Clicks. So this one is one that I look at a lot more than impressions, just because it's more closely related to what we can control, what's actually impactful from ads, from organic, whatever it may be. But what I love about this one is number one, the click share piece of things. So just getting an idea, benchmark of about how much of the traffic you are attracting to you versus competitors. And then the second piece to this is the organic click-through rate. So this is calculated the same way, just taking your brand clicks divided by your brand impressions, and this gives you a nice view segmented out by tactic. Obviously, not a whole lot changing here outside of just in the brand segment here. But what I would be looking for is whether it be a specific product or a keyword or whatever, more likely a product, is I would use something like this and then have another filter that just filtered out for a specific category, or like I have there. And I would just look at like that one and see how that click-through rate organically has changed over time. You could add another layer deeper and look at specific keywords, things like that. But, we don't have to get into all that.
Yeah, very interesting. This is a very big, good trend line. Your brand click-through rate going up, up, up. What'd you do to make that click-through rate go up?
Good main images.
Really? Not the main thing. That's the secret.
Obviously. No, I'm just kidding. Don't know why exactly that's going up so much right there. But anyway,
when did you
let's
start managing this account?
In
I'm guessing
June?
January 2024?
No, it was June of 2023.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, you got a lot. Your non-brand clicks skyrocketed in January of 2024.
Yeah, it's a seasonal brand for sure. The first half
Also,
of the
total
year
market clicks also went up.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting, Andrew, because we also have the Amazon will actually do a click rate. Do you ever compare to click rate? I don't think that's really a fair comparison. So let's define click. I'm going to define click rate really quick. What that means is it's Amazon's click-through rate for like any product on that search. Like if someone types a search, what are the chances that they click literally any product in the search? So some of them are going to be pretty high, like 75% of the time when insalted electrolytes is searched, it is clicked. Well, actually, that's another question, Andrew. I think the click rate, that's clicks divided by, it's clicks divided by searches. It's not clicks divided by impressions.
Right.
So like it would be 66 here divided by 89 is getting you to that 74.16% click rate. So the clicks is basically out of how many times, every time this is searched, how many times of those searches become a click. So I guess the answer here that I answered for myself is it's not really worth comparing to this. It could be if you have such a really bad click-through rate on some keyword, you could maybe come through and be like, yeah, but most of the time people aren't really clicking. It seems to be a bit more of like a research thing, like, yeah. So point being, you can't really compare your CTR to like the category. You can't be like, how does our CTR stack up against other people's? You can't really do that, but you can just look at out of all your impressions, your overall click-through rate. So that can be really good. One other thing too, Andrew, you mentioned that you like doing clicks. You said because that's the thing we really can control. And it's also a cost per click platform, or pay per click platform. So that does make a lot of sense. The other thing too is that those impressions, people love to look at impressions, but frankly, I think impressions can be a bit of a vanity metric because these aren't counting viewable impressions. It's all the impressions on page one. So if you're all the way at the very bottom of that page, nobody's ever going to see that. Like, rarely are people going to scroll that far. And so it would look like your click-through rate's really, really bad. And it's not necessarily meaning that like your image is bad, your listing is bad, whatever, but you're just not appearing very high on search. So you're naturally going to get those click-through rates decrease the farther people go down the page because there's less and less viewability there. So just something else to keep in mind, which, with your brand, that's where I would think, like, when these click-through rates are going up, there's probably two things there. Like you said, you're optimizing those listings, you're cleaning up those main images, making them more clicky, but you're also probably ranking higher in search, which is why you're getting better click-through rates as well.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and you can see, I mean, that's just the brand click-through rate too, that we're looking at there. That's been kind of growing, but non-brand competitors kind of staying steady. But anyway, yeah. So I only have a couple more things to really dig into and show, but yeah, everything from here is pretty straightforward. The purchases tab is exactly the same thing. It's just looking at your purchase share on any individual product, which is nice. And then the only final thing I wanted to call out, and this is actually kind of neat. I haven't really like used this too much, but I could see how it could be useful in identifying a couple things. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what the audience says. They can leave a comment and tell us whether this is useful or not. So click on ship speed on the tab.
Ship speed.
So
there's no charts.
That's okay. Zoom in on.
I need charts.
We could build some charts, but right now, what this is going to show you is within all of those ICAP metrics, Amazon splits out for most of them, I think, whether those impressions clicks, whatever, when they were served, whether they had same day shipping speed on them, 1 day shipping speed on them, or 2 day shipping speed on them. So, what might we assume there? We might assume that people who are going to get the product faster are more likely to go ahead and make that purchase now, or at least that's what this data is telling us. So at the top here, we've got the purchase rate by ship speed. So you can see your conversion rate essentially, or a proxy for it across each of those time horizons, whether they had same day, 1 day, or 2 day shipping speed. And we see that the same day purchase rates are almost 50% higher than the 2 day purchase rates. And the 1 day purchase rates are 25% higher than the 2 day purchase rate. And so why does that even matter? So one thing that you should watch out for with this is if you are starting to run semi low on stock at all, or you let's just say you're not even like super low on stock, but you notice that sales have started to drop or conversions have started to drop. This would be one thing that you could check, because Amazon sends your inventory all over the US, right? They have fulfillment centers all over the place. You as a seller can kind of pick and choose or try to pick and choose where you want to send that inventory. And Amazon usually does a pretty good job of making sure that all those certain pockets of opportunity and demand for your type of product are sourced and in stock in those locations to provide the best customer experience, the fastest shipping for them possible. If you start running a little bit low on stock in, say, California warehouses, you may see that a larger concentration of your purchases or whatever are coming from like a 2 day ship speed timeline. So you would start to see your overall purchases coming from 2 day shipping go up over that period of time, and that could indicate that you need to better stock your west side of the U.S. With inventory, because that's selling through a lot faster. And so this is just like one way that you could potentially look at that and get a nice delineation between how fast your products are showing that they're going to get to the customers. And if it does start to fall and you aren't really sure why, this is one place that you can look. I've heard of people saying that this has happened. So this is how you would look at it.
So a way to summarize all of that is that 2 day shipping is better than 2 day shipping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly. So keep those products in stock, well in stock.
To ship 2 days is in case if anyone. I wasn't saying 2 days twice. The first time I said today. Anyways. Yeah, this is a very stark contrast. Surprised it makes that big of a difference. I'd hate to see. Is there not a metric for it only goes up to 2-day prime? It doesn't compare like non-prime shipping
No, I
purchase
don't
rates.
think so. I don't think so. It just gives you the same day, 1-day shipping timeline, and 2-day shipping timeline.
Yep. 2 days. So here's where those metrics are coming from: 2-day shipping speed, 1-day shipping speed, same day shipping speed. So yeah. So I mean, if this contrast between same, I will admit, I've sometimes the same day when it's like, yo, you can have this within the next like 30 minutes, or no, sorry, if you order within the next 30 minutes, like you can have this by like this afternoon. I'll just be like, okay,
Yep.
let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll do
I
that.
notice it within myself for sure that I'm much more apt to just go ahead and pull the trigger on something if I know
Yeah.
I'm going to get it like tomorrow morning, but I got to do it like right now. Otherwise, I'm not going to get it until like, 3 days from now or something. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
Yep. So that's
So-
the
so-
search query performance report.
Real
What you got?
quick. So this data sheet, is this
Yeah, you want to look at this real quick?
okay, so you put the year and the month at the very end.
Yeah, so whenever it exports
So how many rows
from
is this? This is 19,000 rows, which actually isn't that bad. I thought I expected to be more.
So this one is a brand level view, which
Mm-hmm.
for this brand it makes sense to do brand level for this analysis, but yeah.
You
So
still
that's
have
probably why it's less.
all the search queries. You have all the search queries in here still for almost 18 months of data. Oh wait,
And that was
what?
like the simple, I think, well, actually,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
It's just
a
not.
simple
It's
view.
just not in sequential order.
Yeah.
But we can make it sequential. Descending.
So yeah, I had to add those columns, the year and the month, and that just allows you to segment the pivot table appropriately. It comes
Yeah.
out of Seller Utilities with that reporting date column in there. And then the only other columns I had to add were the product category, the tactic, and then the competitor tags that I had in there, just in case, you want to see like specifics around that. But
So these ones you manually added. Oh no,
pretty
not
much.
search query. Not search query. But yeah, the brand came in there. No. Yeah, you added brand, right? I'm hesitant to click on those cells to see what they were because then it will reveal everything.
Don't do it. It's okay. The brand, I think that was because of the Seller Utilities output. I think that was added in there. I think if you download it straight from Amazon, it doesn't pull in that brand column.
Yeah. And then category, tactic, and then brand in the event that the tactic was a competitor brand. You just manually added those in. How long did that take you? I assume you just like applied filters for like contains this, boom. Doesn't contain this, boom.
Yeah, longer than I'd like to admit, to be honest. I used ChatGPT a little bit, as much as I could, but it was even having a little bit of trouble being accurate. So
yeah,
it did require a lot of manual stuff. And then on that note, once you do it once, you pretty much don't have to do it again because the search terms don't change all that much from month to month. And most of the new exports that you have are going to be the same search terms, just new data. So you'll every once in a while have like a handful of new ones that you got to go through and categorize, and you just add it to this list. And
so this terms list is like your master sheet. And then
it's how I VLOOKUP all the category, competitor, and brand. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the data sheet, these would have been VLOOKUPed up.
Yeah, based on the search query.
VLOOKUPed. Okay.
Yep.
So you got your master sheet that assigns everything, and you should only have to do that once. Then you save that as like your master search query classification sheet. And then whenever you download new reports, you can just use VLOOKUP to assign the category, tactic, and brand to all of those search queries based off of this search query sheet. And then
make a filter for all the stuff that's not currently showing. Copy that, put it in your new terms list, categorize those, and you're good to go.
I can already anticipate the the audience asking you to make a video for them showing you how to do this?
I can do it. I'm not gonna sit there and categorize 19,000 search queries in front of you, though.
That wait.
I'll
I
skip
think you
that part.
actually is this in the video you made, the 7 Excel functions, whatever, best 7 Excel
No,
functions?
that's not what this is.
Okay.
It's similar though. A lot of the principles and the stuff I teach in that video you can use to build this whole sheet.
Yeah. So Andrew made you guys a early Christmas present titled, the video title is still pending, but something like the top 7 best Excel functions for Amazon PPC, where he shows you building charts, using tables, all this kind of stuff. And that episode's done. It's edited. Thumbnail is being created now, so that should go live possibly before this episode goes live. So you can search for that. And if it's not live, you better hit that subscribe channel button so that you can see that video when it comes live. In fact, now that I think about it, yeah, we are going to make that video go live after this one. So you better hit that subscribe button so that when this goes live, you'll get notified when the next one comes out. We're keeping it hostage.
All right. Sweet. Sounds good.
I'm curious, if you have another brand now,
Oh,
like another
good
client,
question. This is a great
is this
question.
easy to replicate, like as a template?
Yes, such a good question. Most people don't realize this, but the data within your pivot tables, you can just swap it out and hit refresh on your pivot table, and it'll update to whatever data's in the sheet that it's referencing. So if you had a
So
whole
basically,
different...
yeah. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off again because I tend to do that. You only need to replace the data sheet and the term sheet. So you have a new brand, you export from seller utilities, whatever, the data sheet for the last 12 months. You just create that export, you import that data here, and then you have a new terms classification sheet, and you just you VLOOKUP all that stuff again, and all these other tables will automatically update and populate.
Not quite automatically. So if you click the pivot table thing, you just click on the pivot table somewhere, and you go up to pivot table analyze. You just got to hit that refresh button right there in the middle, and that'll update to whatever the latest data in that pivot table is. So if you ever add new data to a pivot table and it's not showing up, go up there, hit refresh, and it should populate to your pivot table after that.
Nice. Are you going to make this available for people to copy?
Only if I get 5,000 comments, I think.
What does the comment need to say?
No, we'll I think what we could do is like you were talking about, I don't know, I feel like this episode should have pretty well laid out how to do it step by step for the most part, but if there's any questions still lingering and you absolutely need a step-by-step tutorial of how to build this exact spreadsheet, then if we get 50 comments, then I will do it, and make the comment SQP, and then I'll do it. So
yeah, 50 comments for SQP, and then Andrew will you're going to make a video for it, or you're just going to make this template available for people to download?
Yeah, maybe I'll just make a template where they can just place their data.
Yeah, and then you can maybe just have a 5-minute Loom video that just shows.
Quick little tutorial showing them how to do it.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll create that as a Google Sheet or something, or as an Excel download, and then somewhere in the file there will just be a little URL link to a video, so you can just click that video. We won't bother uploading it to YouTube. And then, yeah, good stuff, man. Great work, Andrew. This is really, really impressive. You deserve a raise.
Are you getting paid to do this?
No,
I'm not. I do need a raise then.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening and watching that Amazon Ads podcast. Andrew, give everyone one piece of parting wisdom, and then we'll sign off.
Yeah. Don't step on the crack, or you'll break your mother's back. See you next week.
You heard it here. See you next week.